Welcome back to Devopsdays Amsterdam online, where I'm joined by guests to talk about their sessions, by attendees about their event experience. My name is Floor Drees, and I'm one of the organizers of Devopsdays Amsterdam. And with me right now is Dotan Horovits. Hi, Dotan. Can you introduce yourself to our little viewers at home?
Yeah, hi everyone, glad to be here. I'm Dotan Horovits. I work as the principal developer advocate at a company called Logs.io in the DevOps and observability space. And I'm also a CNCF ambassador and an open source enthusiast and co-organizer of the CNCF local chapter in Tel Aviv, where I'm based, and the Devopsdays Tel Aviv, and Kubernetes community days, and many more. So that's me in a nutshell.
You do many things. You have many hats, many types of events, which is where we keep meeting each other as well, right? So that's kind of nice. You just had a workshop earlier today. Tell us about what the workshop was about, what it looked like. Was it a good experience? Of course, it wasn't a good experience. Only good things, but yes.
Of course, that was an amazing experience. Actually, that's the first time that I delivered this in this format, so I'm glad that we have the opportunity. It was about distributed tracing, like the primer for distributed tracing in general, and specifically hands-on with the Jaeger open source project. So also the fundamentals and also the hands-on part, and got the basics. And yeah, I think it was well received. The fact that the audience stayed with me over the time, and when I asked them, do you want to finish? No, carry on. So apparently it was good.
Yes, because you continued a little bit into the coffee break, right?
Yeah,
so that means that people were energized enough by your workshop that they didn't need coffee. Really cool. And you say in this format, because you've never done anything this interactive. You asked people to take out their laptops if they wanted to join you in this
No, I've done many workshops in the past. This specific workshop and this specific flow, technology, use case, and stuff like that. So I've done lots of workshops before, but taking this specific use case, I've done that as a live demo in other formats, and I wanted to try it out as a interactive workshop format. And it worked fine. I need more time. Like that was a 45-minute slot, and apparently it merits an hour or so. But this is part of the learning to get it even better the next time.
Right, exactly. And so for the people joining, did they need to download a bunch of stuff, and that's why you got in trouble time-wise, or is it just?
It's a good question.
It turns out that it takes a longer time for them to see, and then typey. I don't know.
I haven't done the retrospective myself, so you're not asking me to do all the.
We're doing the retro
so
live.
We'll do it live in the show, but what I think is the combination of good questions. So people, and I don't like to tell people stick with the questions until the end. So it's interactive, and we got lots of questions. For example, many people were interested about the instrumentation part, which means how to get your application to emit telemetry in general, and tracing in particular in this case. And my workshop was more focused about how to, once your application is instrumented and you have tracing data, how you can explore it using the different visualizations and the trace timeline and the Gantt chart, and find all sorts of performance issues in your system. But the interest went more, and I had slides on that, less of the hands-on part, but I had slides on that. So I devoted more time that I planned for the workshop around instrumentation. So all sorts of these things, and obviously the setup for some people was more challenging than the others, but it's good learning.
Okay, wow, yeah, cool. So, and in your introduction, you also mentioned that you're an open source enthusiast. So, in how far are you in the Jaeger project yourself? Mostly a consumer, which is also fine, or are you also contributing to the project?
So I'm involved, obviously, with the evangelism part, doing lots of promotion. My team is involved also in contributions, things such as the service performance monitoring that was added to Jaeger and others. So we do the open source contributions part, and we try and evangelize and help enhance and get more people exposed to the project in general. I do that both in my capacity as Logs.io, because ultimately Logs.io provides a lot of a managed version of Jaeger. So both, if people feel comfortable with the open source, they will obviously be feeling comfortable also with the service. But also in my capacity as a CNCF ambassador, since it's a CNCF graduated project, so it serves both purposes, which is great. Yeah, it's very exciting.
Yeah, and I can imagine that if you're doing workshops around these topics, people come up with questions that you didn't think about maybe necessarily, and which can make it back into the project.
Yeah,
Or
obviously.
use cases that you know, like
Always. Yeah, I see in general. I see developer relations as a bidirectional channel. So it's not just me advocating to the world about what I believe. It's also getting the feedback back. I can tell you that the service performance monitoring, for example, came out of a lot of feedback that we got from users and users, cool. And lots of other tiny things about the system architecture, visualization, and others. So. It's definitely, it feeds it back into the product roadmap, both the commercial product for Logs.io and also for the open source roadmap.
Fantastic. And now your workshop is done. So now the conference experience starts, right?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Actually, it's good to have the workshop because workshop is the first day and then I have the rest of the conference for myself.
You can sit back.
So, yeah.
And
looking forward to enjoying and also meeting. For me, a lot of that is catching up with people like yourself that we catch up over the conferences and many others that I've seen. The organizers of the config management camp, I just came from the chat with them and many others. So it's fun to see the good friends in person during these conferences.
It's very good. Well, thank you for joining Devopsdays in general, but also here for this little conversation.
Thank you.
And enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you. And let me invite your audience also to check out my podcast. It's called Open Observability Talks. As Open Observability is one word. It's about open source, DevOps, observability. It's a podcast and a video cast for those who want to check it out on YouTube. And if you're interested in these topics, check it out.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you very much.